Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Wrestling Doesn't Make Sense, the podcast where me and John talk about professional wrestling and whatever sense it makes. Sometimes a lot, sometimes a little, sometimes no sense at all. You know. So I think that's a very apropos thing to say to begin the show with, because I feel like we're going to talk about two people who haven't really shown a whole lot of sense in their real world. Two wrestlers by the names of Austin Aries and Low Ki.
Mm-hmm.
John, I'm sure you're familiar with both of these rambunctious scamps.
Yes, I've always been a fan of Austin Aries in-ring work, and Loki. Like I really liked his matches back in the day with Amazing Red, but yeah, let's just say separating the wrestler from the man behind the wrestler, there's a few issues there.
There's a few issues. That's a good way to put it. Definitely some issues. I always liked Austin Aries as a wrestler. I thought he was a really good wrestler. I thought he was a great promo. Like, the guy could work, and he was a smaller guy, but like he could still pull shit out, and like he wasn't like totally like all suicide dives and flips and stuff, but he could do it if he needed to. You know, like he was one of those guys that was very smart about the shit he could do in the ring.
Yeah.
Which I liked. Low Ki I was never a big fan of, and I don't know why. I think, well, I don't know. There's just something about him that I didn't like. And then have you seen that video of him? Like, this is an old video, but like him shooting on a guy. He like just starts laying fucking blows into his head because somebody messed up a spot. I don't know if it was the opponent or if it was Low Ki, but Low Ki gets already pissed off in the middle of a match and just starts like beating the fuck out of this guy.
Oh,
And I'm
geez,
like,
no, I haven't seen that, but it sounds like something I can imagine him doing.
it sounds like something Low Ki would do. That stupid idiot. So after that, I'm like, you know, I don't like that. That's not the right. Like, it's okay to like, you know, be a bit stiff with a guy and like have a competitive match and kind of go back and forth like that, you know. But it's not cool to just start beating the fuck out of a guy because, you know, you should be able to like fix your mistakes in a match as opposed to just openly showing frustrations for something going wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Not very professional, basically. So speaking of not being very professional, Low Ki and Austin Aries have been talked about recently because I don't know if you know this, but we're in the middle of a pandemic at the moment.
Indeed.
It's a worldwide pandemic. Everybody's raving about it. Oh, good old coronavirus, COVID-19, and all the other names for the virus that I'm sure there are. I don't fucking know. So recently we figured out that, you know, it seems to travel, or we feel like it seems to travel kind of like face to face from like particles in your mouth, for example. They, or from your nose, they kind of get spread around like like a flu or a cold.
Yeah.
It tends to be, you know, the face that gives it away. So at first people weren't sure if you were supposed to use masks or not. I remember this. They were like, I don't know if it's a good idea. Now I feel like a lot of people are like, actually, yeah, dude, masks are the way to go. It protects everybody. It's just a safer way to do business, right?
Yeah.
The business, of course, being staying alive, which is very important in business when you think about it. So Austin Aries and Low Ki, those two outspoken young ne'er-do-wells, they didn't like this. They didn't like. Can you imagine two professional wrestlers not liking the idea of wearing a mask?
Yeah, it's bizarre.
I
Like,
mean,
if any business is famous for wearing masks, it's professional wrestling.
right. Like, you think about how many businesses or how many jobs are available that let you go to work in a mask. One, doctor. Two, like fucking Mickey Mouse guy at Disneyland. Three, professional wrestler. You know? I think that's it. Is it?
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
But and I mean, like, Loki as well is a guy who's wrestled under a mask. He was Suicide, wasn't he, for a little bit in TNA? I'm pretty sure he was.
I thought that was Christopher Daniels.
I think they had a few different ones, but I could have sworn he was suicide.
Wait, wasn't Austin Aries suicide too? Didn't he do a gimmick where he wore the mask to fight? Was it Chris Sabin or somebody? And he definitely wore a mask at some point.
Hmm.
Oh wow, we're breaking shit wide open now. So these two professional wrestlers who we have established have probably both worn masks at some point, don't want to go out in public wearing masks. They're not only that, but they're very opposed to it. It's not like they don't want to do it. Like they're opposed to it. They have a stance that they're taking, and their stance is no masks.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not just like, oh whatever, fucking mask, I don't like it, but whatever. No, they're like anti-masks.
Yeah.
Which
Should I read what Loki put out on Twitter for anyone who didn't see it?
oh, I hope you have it like verbatim.
Yes, I do indeed.
Go for it.
But I won't be doing it in the Loki voice because I don't think I can get that deep. But
He's got a very deep voice. Yeah.
I think I'm pretty sure
Smokes
he puts
a
that
lot.
on. But okay, here we go. So he says, respect is a two-way street. I respect your right to remain ignorant, be ruled by fear and not by logic or intelligence. Wear a mask, social distance, in inverted commas, that ultimately harms your health now and in the future, provided I do not pay for your bad decisions. I respect my own health enough to expose my immune system to the world by shaking hands and embracing people as we have for thousands of years to build our immune systems to fight against disease now and in the future. You have zero right to tell me that I must wear a mask, take a vaccine, or social distance from others who also choose not to do these things. Life is about choices, and in the information age, ignorance is a choice. I choose
Right?
not to be ignorant.
All right, I have a lot of things to say about that. I mean, there's it's like there's little stages in it, you know? Like every single section is like you're way off the mark with that one. Number one, he's like, I don't want to be an ignorant boy, but that first sentence doesn't. There's a lot of commas. There's a lot of like, I don't think that this makes any grammatical sense. So, choosing to not be ignorant and yet not having a totally great grasp of the English language, very interesting. What was the second thing he said?
He respects his own health enough to expose his immune system to the world by shaking hands.
That one, that cracked me up. So what he's saying is, because we've spent so long just coughing in each other's faces, that by now, 2020, there are no diseases because all of our immune systems are resistant to disease.
Yeah.
That's what he's saying. So nobody ever gets sick because our immune systems are essentially perfect. Okay. I mean, that makes a lot of sense, doesn't it?
Of course, yeah. I mean, you can see where he excelled when he went to school and got his doctorate in medicine.
Is that not like one of the strangest things anybody's ever said?
It's just astoundingly dumb.
Right, like you're like, that is such a reach.
Yeah.
I mean, like people still get sick. People get the cold all the time. Like that information is directly in front of your face, man. Like Loki has never gotten sick.
He probably thinks he's never got sick. Yeah, I can imagine he's the sort.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, dude, that was a classic. Well played, Loki. Okay, what was the next bit then?
The next bit was you have zero right to tell me that I must wear a mask, take a vaccine, or social distance.
Like okay, they don't have zero right to, like, I don't think that that's correct. Like, they have the right to say it.
Yeah.
They totally have the right to say it. I guarantee you Loki's one of those pricks that's like, freedom of speech, hello. This is America, we can say what we like. I'm like, well, true. Which means that guy can say that to you as well. they're totally free to say, we advise you to wear a mask.
Mm-hmm.
That is their God-given American right by definition. So he's way off the mark with that one too. Good. He's hitting, what is he, 0 for 3 so far?
Yeah, pretty much.
And then what else is next?
And then the last bit was him saying, life is about choices, and in the information age, ignorance is a choice. Which, you know, he's almost talking about himself there.
Yeah, like maybe that's the bit he didn't mean to write. He was just like saying it out loud to himself. It's like, no, it's a choice. I don't have to be an idiot, you know. There's a lot to it. It's a very layered statement. You gotta have a lot of balls to make that your fucking statement.
Absolutely. When the whole world is telling you, you know, you're an idiot.
Right.
The whole world saying wear a mask, like it's a painless thing to do. It's, you know, I saw someone say a mask is not a political statement, it's an IQ test.
Right.
It is. It's like if you want to turn it into like something about your own health and you think, well, it's not going to affect me. Okay, that's all well and good, but the whole point of the mask is to protect everyone, and that's the sort of aspect which seems to have kind of escaped Loki's mind there, is that he's talking about his own health and how he can keep shaking hands and embracing people and stuff. But it's like, well, yeah, what if you do catch the disease doing that, and then by choosing to keep shaking hands and hugging people or whatever, not that I think Loki's really hugging people, but you know, like if you start spreading the disease, then that's on you.
Right, exactly. You know, if he's going around shaking hands with people and just doing whatever he does anyway, you know, there's a high possibility he's gonna get the virus, and then he's putting other people's fucking, like, you know, he could recover from it. He's a strong boy. But if he's going around just continuing to be a dick and talking to other people and interacting with people without wearing a mask, other people are going to get sick, and the spread of this is just going to keep going and going.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, fucking nobody's going to get better. Like, that one's astounding, isn't it? It's so weird that somebody could to have the fucking gall to talk about other people's ignorance.
Yeah, I know.
And then to just say, no, I'm not wearing a mask because it's my right to infect everybody else with disease. And you can't tell me, you know, Americans, man, them and their fucking rights. You know what I mean? Like, they have these little fucking rights established that they think are important. Like, I heard somebody say this about, you know, they were going to bring in Obamacare or whatever it is, Medicare.
Yeah.
I fucking heard an argument that was like, well, you can't, because the American people have the right to choose. They get to choose their own insurance companies and their own insurance policies, and Americans don't want that forced on them. They want to be able to choose. They have the right to choose, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, first of all, if, you know, that's just fucking batshit crazy. What the fuck? Second of all, does this also include the women's rights to choose between having an abortion? Is that when rights come into it? Because that would be a medical question as well. Is that part of your rights, or what are you saying that the way the system is right now benefits you, therefore these are your rights?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you're saying to me? You know, that's one thing they're very good at. They can spin that fucking constitution to fit their will, so long as it benefits them. And as soon as it doesn't, they're like, well, no, something's wrong here. You know, they have to like twist it again. I'm like, no, we can figure this out. You know, they don't fucking learn anything. And you know what's funny about that? Sorry to get into a weird tangent about American politics, but you're like, they have this constitution that's really fucking sacred, right?
Mm-hmm.
They also have a bunch of amendments to it.
Yep.
Which means that the constitution wasn't perfect when it was written because it had to be amended. Yeah?
Exactly. Yeah.
So why can't we just amend it? Like, why did we get to a certain point and you're like, well, that's all the amendments done. This is it. This is exactly the way it is, and nothing can ever change this. You know, shit changes, things happen, move with the times. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm sorry that had nothing to do with low key being a prick, but like it's just weird that they, it's like this pig-headedness. You know, where they're like, no, I can't wear a mask because that infringes on my rights somehow. But you're like, what? Like, why are you making a big deal out of it? Am I the only one who thinks wearing a mask is cool?
Exactly, yeah.
I
You
fucking
get to look like a
love.
bandit or something.
Right. I have a bandana and I started wearing the bandana like around my face like a bandito. And I'm like, dude, I fucking, I think it's awesome. I don't get what the big deal is. Also, if you wear a mask, like I find myself pulling faces, and I'm like, nobody can see it. I don't know why. I think it's just like an impulsive thing. I just keep making faces under the mask, but like, there's a little thrill with knowing that nobody else can see the silly faces you're pulling. I feel like there's a lot of fun, a lot of potential with these masks. Maybe that's the problem. Low key doesn't strike me as the kind of character who's very fun. You know,
No,
he
definitely
doesn't
not.
he doesn't seem like the kind of guy you could go and have a whole lot of fun with, if you know what I mean.
I don't think so. Just looking at his Twitter and like some of the comments and stuff he makes, he's yeah.
Yeah,
Fun isn't really in his vocabulary, I don't think.
right. It's like low key. You want to play Mario Kart? He's like, no, I choose to not play Mario Kart like an ignoramus like you. I am a being of a higher power whose genes are magnificent and are impervious to all disease. And my genes are so good that you could stab me and I would just regenerate like fucking Wolverine. I am impervious to all damage. He's a robot. That's his problem.
Yeah, he speaks like a robot, so it makes sense that he would be a robot.
Right. They're like, wow, how does Loki hit so hard? It's because he's a robot. His arms are made out of metal.
Yeah, it's got pistons.
Yeah, exactly. He's just like you can't beat that guy because he just never runs out of juice unless his battery runs down. But you know, Loki wouldn't be ignorant enough to not have a backup battery.
Exactly, yeah.
It was his choice to put the second battery in, and it's his. He had to make the right choice. So Loki's a robot now, I guess. But he's not the only perpetrator in this cavalcade of foolishness. I was trying to think of a word that began with C that would kind of alliterate with cavalcade, but I couldn't think of one.
Foolishness will do.
Cavalcade of craziness.
There you go.
Yeah, I'll take that. He's not the only person. Whatever. We mentioned Austin Aries. Austin Aries, God bless him, is a man who is very outspoken on social media. He's got a lot to say. And do you ever notice that the people who have an awful lot to say, they want to say a lot of things, but they don't have the capabilities necessary to accurately say them?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Like they want to shout a lot, but they've nothing to shout about, so they have to make shit up. And Austin Aries is kind of like one of those guys, He's got an awful lot to say, but there's no substance to it.
Yet he's still so sure of what he's saying that he's going to keep shouting it from the rooftops.
Well, that's the thing, man. There's a certain brand of people that will do that. That, it doesn't matter how wrong they are. They'll just keep shouting about how great they are. Like, almost to convince themselves that they're talking, sense. They just thought, like, if I just keep shouting and saying it, eventually people will believe me.
Yeah,
which is a very, very dangerous road to go down. But yes, Austin Aries has a lot to say. And he's a lot to say about wearing a mask.
But should I tell you what he wrote for his tweet that caused a bit of an outrage?
Have you got it?
Yeah, I've got it.
Wait, which one? Because I've seen him tweet a couple of things. Some of the other stuff is probably in defense of the first tweet, I guess.
Yeah, I think this was the original one, which kind of set everything off.
Is it as eloquent as Loki and his statement?
It's not as long, and it's a bit more succinct and to the point.
Loki's was like a fucking picture.
Yeah, his was. Whereas Austin Aries, he kind of quote tweeted like someone else's comment and then kind of added his own thoughts on top of that.
Well, should we hear what the original comment is?
Oh no, it's quite long and it's a bit of bullshit. But
All right.
essentially, what Austin Aries says is, if I'm forced to take responsibility for your health by wearing a mask, do I also get to snatch all the shit out of your grocery cart, making you sick and putting you at risk? You know, just for the greater good.
No.
So
That's...
yeah, he's
Well,
essentially saying, oh, it's, you know, the same thing as wearing a mask is like, you know, policing your lifestyle is, you know, if I go around and say, hang on, you're not doing enough exercise, go out and do some more exercise. No, you can't eat another pizza, you've already had 3 this week, you got to go get some salad or something. That's his sort of argument, is like, oh, okay, if you can tell me to how to look after myself, then I can tell you how to look after yourself.
yeah, like that's not the right, like those two statements don't match up at all. The first one is just wearing a mask for the benefits of other people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is a bit like sneezing into a handkerchief,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Like that's what that is. Like you're not making a grand gesture with it, but you're also being kind of polite about it. You're like, you know what? I've just realized somebody else probably doesn't want all my snot all over their face. I'll just into the handkerchief and it's fine. So it's the same kind of general idea with the mask. You wear the mask to no discomfort to yourself. It's just a fucking mask, right? You walk around town and you do everything normally, but it just reduces the chance of somebody else getting sick. You know, it's like a
Mm-hmm.
good deed.
Yeah, yeah.
I did a good thing. You know, it's a little random act of kindness. Just like I'm not spreading the disease and I'm reduced the chances of me getting it too. Everybody wins. And his second statement was, I'm gonna just hound you all the time and take shit out of your hand to make sure you don't eat what I specifically consider to be not good, which you know is harassment if anything.
Yeah.
But then where does that stop? Because that's such a huge sweeping statement that what you're like. Then after that, you're like, well, are you gonna go to Burger King and shut it down? Like, where exactly is the line here, Mr. Austin Aries? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. But it's also like, I mean, when it comes to coronavirus, like you don't like that is something that is spread around, you know, that's something that you can't really avoid. Um, Whereas when it comes to eating right or whatever, that's like a personal choice anyway, and it's not
Mm-hmm.
like, you know, heart disease or whatever is contagious like the coronavirus is. So um, that's why wearing a mask is completely different from, you know, trying to police what people are eating or whatever.
Right, like those two things don't go together at all. Like, it's a totally, it's what did you call it earlier? A false equivalency.
Yeah, yeah.
There you go. Um, but yet I've seen nobody could change his mind on this. People were like, Austin, you gotta like, you can't be right all the time, dude. You know, you
Mhm.
one of these days you're gonna have to look at one of the things and go, okay, I concede that one. Maybe maybe I went a little bit too far with that one, but God bless him, he's still like, no, of course I'm right. I'm the greatest man who ever lived. You know, how could I be wrong about this thing that I have researched so delicately, this thing that I have specialized in, what with my 78 years um being a doctor and a professor of neurological diseases. Is it a neurological disease?
Oh,
It's a disease of some kind.
yeah, I don't think neurological, but
No, you see, I didn't spend 76 years in, doctor schools like Austin Aries, so I don't know the correct terms. But I'm sure he would. He'd be able to educate me correctly because he's the smartest man who ever lived. Um, as evident by, like, I still follow him on Twitter because sometimes it's fun to see him tweet stuff.
mm.
But although I'm sure I'm gonna be blocked by the time this is over and done with. But it's just it's disheartening, I think, to see two people like that, two prevalent wrestlers, two, well-known indie
Mm.
guys, like pretty, low key, did a lot of work in like TNA and abroad and stuff like that. He's well known. Austin Aries also in TNA, but also was in WWE for a little bit.
Oh,
You
so
know,
it was Loki as well.
oh fuck, look, he was in WWE, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh, what was his name?
Uh, was that
Caval?
one? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Caval. Oh my god. Whoa, dude. I totally forgot about that. So these two, well, clearly, two very well-known people from their time in the WWE, especially the low key. Like, they're how do you get to this point in life and be so silly about stuff like this? You know what I mean? We are, what are we? March, April, May, June. This is gonna be month 5 of this shit.
Yeah.
How do you not figure this stuff out by now? How are people still saying that this is a hoax? Like,
Hmm.
how are people like just not getting this? It's bizarre. America is going to be in some real trouble at some point with this coronavirus. They're as if they weren't already,
Well,
but
yeah.
like their death rates are ridiculous and their infected rates are ridiculous, and they don't seem like, I haven't seen the recent numbers, but I don't know if, like, if you look at Europe, they've gone past the curve.
Yeah, yeah.
We flattened the curve. We're on a good upswing. We're doing pretty well. Northern Ireland are doing really well, which is bizarre because we are not good at anything. I think that shows you just how bad Boris Johnson's been fucking this up. Where if Northern Ireland are outperforming you in like politics and how to run a country, then you have fucked up. You know what I mean? 'Cause our fucking politicians are barely even there. So we're doing pretty well. England, I don't know about you guys,
Well,
needs some
we're
work.
kind
I
of,
would say C minus.
yeah. It's a weird situation because it doesn't feel like we've done well at all. Like with the PPE shortages and obviously everyone being in lockdown for so long and whatnot. But I mean, the important thing is there's not been a second spike yet. I mean,
Right.
we'll see what the aftermath is now that like the pubs are open and stuff, and we're like creeping back towards normalcy. But so far, fingers crossed, it looks like we're on the downward trend.
Yeah.
Whereas, America, Jesus, man, it's only getting worse there. They're still on the first wave, really, but it's just after dipping slightly, it's just creeping up to levels which were even worse than at the height like a couple of months ago. I
Like,
think yesterday there was 55,000 cases reported, which like puts them up to almost 3.1 million people who've caught coronavirus already, and 134,000 deaths as of yesterday. So it's
yeesh.
nuts that, for one thing, that they're trying to act as if like there's nothing wrong. Let's go back to business as usual and stuff like that. When clearly, something has gone horribly wrong. Like the lack of response and like a unified sort of national response as well. It's just been sort of, not to get into like a too political thing and dump on Trump, which is pretty easy, but like
Mhm.
he has basically done bugger all and left it to individual states to kind of look after themselves. And because of that, and because of like the need to kind of open things up and try and stop the country from going into a recession, which is going to be impossible at this point, but
It's gonna happen
still,
anyway.
yeah, I mean, it's just been a mess from start to finish.
Right. And like stuff like austerities and low key, like being very vocal about not giving a shit about the way to actually kind of stop the spread of the virus doesn't help, but it also reflects like the mood of a lot of Americans, I think, where they're like, well, it's like an overblown kind of thing. Like
Mm.
over here, I remember I heard somebody a couple of months ago, they were like, it's all, it seems like a bit of an overreaction. Like they were like, oh, how many people have really died from it already, you know? And I'm like, okay, good, but like, how many people need to die before you consider this to be a thing that we need to take care of? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, what's the number? Because apparently in America the fucking number isn't 100,000. They're like, no, this isn't a big deal. Fuck it. Well, when it hits a million, then we gotta get concerned. But like, if it hits a million, you're already, you know, it's way too late. Obviously, it's a fucking problem. But if you stop it now, like, it's better to be, it's better be safe than sorry, right? That's what they say.
Exactly.
If you're a little overprotective now, then there's no harm done because all right, we overreacted a little bit, but everybody's safe. Whereas if you underreact, you know, people are gonna die, and then you're caught. Like now you have to catch up. You're behind the loop, you know, and that's what happened with like every country. They just had to catch up and get back to normal, and some of them were able to do it really well, and some of them weren't, and some of them fucking refused to, like America. Um, again, not to make things too political, but like, fucking, it's too late for that shit, I guess.
Yeah.
But this is what you get whenever you have a society based entirely around money.
Mhm.
Is that once, for some reason, people don't predict things like natural disasters or like pandemics or things like this coming up. But if you just spend all your time focusing on how to make money, then if people can't make money, the whole system falls apart, which is ridiculous because people have existed for longer than money have. You know what I mean? Like we've been around longer than a fucking dollar. We don't,
Yeah, yeah.
and we were able to get along perfectly fine. So maybe the secret to being alive isn't all to do with money, right?
Mhm.
But whenever you just place all your faith in the economy and stuff, that's why fucking the banking crisis happens and other people get fucked over, is because you put way too much importance on money and not enough importance on like looking after the people who are supposed to be making you the money. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous. And America is exactly like that, especially with the fucking idiot president they have who claims he's a business guy. But I feel like if you look at a lot of the business he's been doing as the president, it's clear that he doesn't know how to run anything except into the ground repeatedly. Like he's just a business driven guy and he looks at numbers and yada yada. So he doesn't give a shit about the people.
Mhm.
And that's, to me, is counterproductive because if you did and you noticed that, you know, if you look after the people, then the economy will get better, then the numbers go up and then you'll look great. But instead of that, he's doing the opposite and still trying to make himself look great. It boggles my mind. You know, I don't want to get into
Yeah.
the whole thing, but the point
But
is,
it's like there's like always another agenda about stuff like uh, you know, with coronavirus. Basically, everyone trying to like say, oh, hang on, it's a issue of rights that I'm gonna refuse to wear a mask, or in Austin Aries' case, oh, I'm gonna use this to kind of push my vegan agenda
good
or whatever.
agenda.
Yeah, and then, but this is the thing though, coronavirus, it doesn't have like a political party. It doesn't care what religion you are, what gender you are. If you're a fucking vegan, it will come after everyone, and it's not. I mean, worst case scenario is like people dying, but like we're already hearing stories about people who have caught the disease and recovered from it as well, who have like developed problems breathing and like reduced lung capacity and shit like that. And it's like this is gonna have an effect on so many people's lives for years and years to come. Like even if they found a vaccine tomorrow or whatever, like it's still going to affect a lot of people who it's already, you know, done harm to. Um, so why not just do this painless gesture, like to wear a mask? Because like at worst, you know, you might feel like your ears are being tugged a little bit or whatever, or like if you're a glasses wearer like me and you, like they might steam up if you don't
Yeah,
have a
they
decent enough mask.
they
But
do
like,
steam up. That is true.
but then if that's like the worst you've kind of got to deal with just to, you know, try and protect yourself and protect everyone around you, boo fucking who? Who
right?
cares?
Right? Like fucking, if wearing a mask is like a real fucking trouble for you, why don't you try like going to Syria and live there for a year and tell me which experience was worse. You know what I mean? Go to Somalia, hang out with some pirates, and then tell me, whether or not you'd like to wear a mask. Something you said made me think about this, right? If they were to get a vaccine for the virus, one of the places that would need the vaccine the most, you would argue, would be the United States, given just how piss poorly they've handled this whole thing.
Yep.
Isn't it ironic that half of the people would refuse to take it?
Yeah.
Because they don't like their vaccines.
Yeah.
So now people in America are stuck with, I don't want to take a vaccine because they'll give me autism or whatever the fuck. But also, I don't want to wear a mask to stop me from getting the virus. So either way, you're going to get sick. But hey, it's your right to choose. That's entirely your right. If you want to go out and get sick, do you know what they should do? In America, they should just take off warning signs for everything.
Yeah.
Like, when you go to the train station and it's like, don't jump on the third rail.
Yeah.
Take that sign down. It's Americans' right to choose how they want to die. You don't want to encroach on their rights. You know what I mean? They have the right to do whatever the fuck they want because they're Americans, and that's it. You don't have the right to tell them not to do whatever the fuck they want because they're just gonna do it anyway. Because that's their right. You know what I mean? Oh dear. See what you've done to us, Austin Aries and Low Key. This is supposed to be a light, breezy wrestling podcast. And you're bringing politics into our wrestling, and I don't appreciate it. Well, I don't know. So this is, and like further proof that this shit happens is that the WWE had a bunch of cases of people coming down with the virus. And they're one of those companies that's trying to, keep the product on TV, but it's proving difficult to do because the virus still is everywhere. I mean, it's still very hard to completely get rid of, and it'll be like this for months. Could be next year before anything like property changes. We'll get there in like little steps, but like it's clear that it's still a big deal, and it also is clear it's a big deal in wrestling terms. And it's weird to see these two professional wrestlers just not get it.
Yeah.
Very strange. Very, very strange.
On that note, though, it's good that WWE have recently issued like a strict sort of mask policy as well, where they're actually issuing fines if people aren't wearing them when they should be and stuff. So that's something. It's like a positive step in the right direction. But yeah, so if WWE are taking those steps, then
right.
like hopefully everyone follows suit.
If fucking pig-headed WWE can do it, like a lot of places should be able to do this. I feel like they're probably off to like a good idea with some of those other companies where they're not running shows right now, because I think that's a good idea. Like MLW and Ring of Honor are kind of not running shows right now, which is a problem for their contracted wrestlers, but at the same time it's just the right thing to do. I mean, like you could think about running shows in like a couple of months time, maybe September, if you can figure out exactly how you can have a proper audience and regulate it properly. I still think now is just not the right time for it. And the WWE and All Elite Wrestling have just been taking this time to give us some awful bullshit. So that doesn't bode well for the future of wrestling either. I don't like that. But I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Everything's fucked, and we're all gonna die soon. What do you think of that, Austin Aries? Stick that in your fucking vegan burrito or whatever the fuck. I don't know. Oh Christ. Anyway, those two are idiots.
Yeah.
I think is that's pretty much what we're saying here.
Yeah, we've taken a while to get there, but that's our point.
Yeah, that's because it took us half an hour. But guys out there, wear masks. Get some cool looking masks off websites, or get like a big pack of like blank masks and draw stuff on them. Because some of them are like, most of them are white. The ones we have are white, so you can just draw your own like little stuff on them, and you'll feel way better. And then people will be like, dude, nice mask, and you'll be like, thanks. You know? Instead of just fucking bitching about it. Like, if you gotta wear a mask, just, make it fun.
Yeah.
Just write "fuck Austin Aries" on it. How about that? It's my right to say that, so he can't get offended by it.
Exactly.
Anything else you want to say about this rather touchy subject that I feel we definitely were very delicate with?
Yeah. I mean, I think we covered it pretty well.
We fucking nailed it, man. Yeah, everybody out there listening, stay safe. Stay away from Low-Ki and Austin Aries, because they will cough on you. But yeah, just, take it easy and be smart and be safe. We love you, etc. So yeah, that's the end of this one. But make sure to check in soon. Subscribe so you can see the next video coming out, and it'll blow you away. And we'll thanks for listening, guys. We'll see you in the next one.
And wear a mask too.
Yeah, wear a mask, you fucks. Well, we still love you. That's the way to end the show.